So as all y'all know by now, the Hurricanes won a crazy, emotional, super unexpected, ridiculous game against Virginia Tech the other day. Hurricanes won 38-34. They improved to 5-0, and Virginia Tech Hokies dropped to 2-3. Uh, what I want to do today, so last video, I made like this super emotional video right after the game. My thoughts were all over the place. So today I wanted to do more of a sober thought review of the game. Um, what I'm gonna be doing is going like a chronological order of all the big plays that happened. Then I'll give my opinion on some of those. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. But I just want to go over all of the really important plays and just give my thoughts on those today. Before we get into the video, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm your host, Jordan Harris. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. All right. So first, I want to say one thing that irritates me about a lot of these ACC teams is whenever they play against a different ACC team, they seem like they come out and play on Heisman mode, as I saw somebody put online. Like they are like on this different mind frame where, like, if they play against, let's say, Vanderbilt, they're missing wide open passes. They just can't do anything right. But then they play against the Hurricanes and they're making one hand pass, like they're doing one hand catches all over the place. So that kind of stuff irritates me like crazy. So we call that Heisman mode. So if you know anything about college football, the video game, you know exactly what I mean. But Virginia Tech came out playing on Heisman mode. They looked like they couldn't do anything wrong from the jump. Um, the first play that I want to talk about is the Cam Ward fumble. So it was just a obvious doing a little too much. It was pretty obvious, right? That's what it was. Trying to do too much, trying to make a play where there wasn't a play. If you are familiar with Friday, the movie that came out way back in the 90s, you remember he was like, not like, don't shoot anybody. Sometimes you just got to put your hands up and fight so you can live another day. So that's what this whole situation was. Like, don't do too much. Let's just go ahead and throw the ball out of bounds so we can live to fight another day. That's what we should have done. But he's trying to make a play, which you can't fault him too much, but he's trying to make a play and ended up hurting us. As most of y'all know, whenever you play in a football game or you play in basketball, whatever it is, if you jump on their neck from the first snap, most of the time these teams who are 1-3 or 2-2, whatever, if they have a pretty bad record, if you jump on them from the start, they'll usually just tail off and quit towards the end of the second quarter. But if you make mistakes early in the game and you give them a little bit of life, the rest of the game is going to be real tough to put them away. And that's kind of what that play did. It put us in a bad spot from the beginning, gave them a little bit of hope because right after that they went down and scored a touchdown. So that's the next play I want to talk about. Let me do some quick research on something real quick. But we talk about the touchdown pass, the first one that Virginia Tech threw. It was so frustrating to me because one of the things that we've struggled with this year and last year is our players getting home. And what I mean by that is, like, it seems like we are always right there close to the quarterback, almost getting a quarterback sack, and then he'll just like do a quick sidestep and somebody's wide open in the end zone for a touchdown. And that's exactly what happened in this play, or in this first touchdown of the game. We had their quarterback, who is Cam Ward's cousin apparently, which is weird, but had him dead to rights, staring at him right in the face. And then Elijah Alston comes through, like, unblocked on the end. And he's got a clear path to the quarterback. And he jumps in the air and does some kind of weird swing thing, and the quarterback just sidesteps him and throws a touchdown. I thought Elijah Alston played terribly this game. Like, if I don't really do grades, but if I were to grade somebody, I would give him like a D plus in this because there were so many plays that he could have had. I think there were three different plays that I counted that could have like altered the game drastically, and they were all his plays, and he missed every single one of them. So Elijah Alston did not play very well this game. But yeah, that's one of the things that I want to talk about is these guys, they got to get home. When they get an opportunity to sack the quarterback, they got to come through on it because stuff like that happens. If you just watch that play again, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. He's got a clear path to the quarterback, just whiffs on him, and then the quarterback sidesteps, and you cannot hold these wide receivers that long. Eventually, they will get open, and that's what happened. Wide open touchdown. Can't let that happen. So, first talked about the Cam Ward fumble. Then we talked about that Virginia Tech touchdown. Now let's talk about the next big play that I saw, which was Cam Ward's interception. A whole lot of us was, I'm sure y'all were just as surprised as I was. I'm not gonna say I was shaken, but it was like, it was kind of because it was almost like, whoa, Cam Ward is human. You know what I'm saying? Because he does have some interceptions on the year, but there's only one of them that you really can count against him, if you ask me, and that was the Florida interception he threw in the first quarter where he tried to throw it across his body. That was the only interception that I really counted against him. But this is the first time where I thought that he just completely got fooled on a play. And the reason why this play was so tough to me is because if I was a football coach, if I was a football coach, the way that I would run my team is based on possessions. I would look at everything based on possessions. And I would say we got to stack possession leads on top of these teams that we're playing against. So that means if you're up by 7 points, you get a field goal, now you're up 2 possessions. If you're up 3 points and you kick a field goal and you go up by 6, you're still 1 possession. So I'm like, let's go for it on 4th down so we can go up 10 points and get a 2 possession lead. That's just how my mind works, right? So we were up 7 points and we're going against a team that has struggled all year, going against a team that most likely will quit if you put it on them real quick. We're up 7, driving the ball, about to score. I think we're on like the, 3-yard line or something like that. Had a touchdown, but then they ended up calling it back, which was real tough. Called the touchdown back. So then, I swear to you, I'm not lying. Right before the next snap, I said, don't turn it over. That was my thought. Just don't turn it over. We get a field goal, we're good to go. Just don't turn it over. Don't do too much. And not even 5 seconds later, threw an interception. So what happened on this interception? Why am I saying that he got fooled? It was something that Virginia Tech did twice that was really impressive, actually. So anytime you have 2 receivers on the same side, it seems like probably 75% of the time the offense is going to have those, in college football, the offense is going to have those receivers cross each other. It happens like 70% of the time probably if you have more than one receiver on the same side of the field. All right, so in this instance, we had 2 receivers on the right side of the field. Those receivers crossed, and when those receivers crossed, the 2 corners that were in front of those receivers, they looked like they both took the receiver that went to the inside of the field, which would obviously leave the receiver on the outside, which was Xavier Restrepo, would leave him wide open. And when Cam Ward saw both of the corners run to the inside, it looked like Xavier Restrepo was wide open. And as soon as he threw it, one of the corners jumped off of the inside route and went and undercut the outside route. So they just completely fooled him. And when I watched the replay, I'm like, I see what Cam Ward's looking at. Like, it looks like he has a wide open receiver. So that was like exceptionally disguised, like really, really high level disguise on that. So you got to give them a pat on the back because it was a really good play call. And then the way that corner read and reacted to that play was really impressive too. I thought that was just really good defense. So then Virginia Tech ended up getting a 58-yard field goal. So this is another part at the beginning of the video when I said they were on Heisman mode. Like, I think the longest field goal that guy had on the year was or in his career, was 41 yards. So when they trotted him out there for a 58-yard field goal, I'm like, why do we not have somebody back there to catch this? I figured we should have somebody in the end zone ready to catch and return this field goal. Because I'm like, if his longest is 41, there's no way he's going to hit a 58-yard field goal. It looked like it would have been good from 65. Like, he kicked that thing and it hit the net and everything. I'm like, how he do that? So they just out-of-body experiences. And once again, if they were playing against Vanderbilt, he would have shanked it. He would have probably not even reached the end zone with that kick. But once they play against teams in their conference, they get like on this God mode and they can't do anything wrong. It gets a little frustrating and it's just weird. But anyway, they kicked that field goal. And then their next play, This is part of what people have been killing Virginia Tech's coach, which honestly I can understand why. But the next play, it was only like maybe 24 seconds left. I'm doing this off of memory, so I think it was like 24 seconds left, and they did a squib kick, which I hate squib kicks, to be honest with you. I say just kick it out the back of the end zone if you can every single time. Don't ever let the team return it. Ever. Just kick it out the back of the end zone. If I was a coach, which I'm not obviously and probably never will be, but if I was a coach, my opposing team would have 0 return yards for the entire year because I kick it out the back of the end zone every time. But anyway, they did a squib kick right before halftime, and the Hurricanes' Chris Johnson picked it up. It almost took it to the house, which was super frustrating because he was one shoestring away from scoring a touchdown there. But he gets like I don't remember how long the return was, but he ended up getting pretty much close to midfield, and we only needed just a few yards to get in the field goal range. So we did just that, got in the field goal range, and stole a field goal right before the end of the half. So that was one of the decisions that people have been killing the Virginia Tech coach about. They're saying, like, why even give them an opportunity to return it, which it makes sense. Because if you'd have kicked it out the back of the end zone and we get the ball way back at the 20 to 25-yard line, we're probably going to do a draw play. And if that gets a first down, maybe they do a quick pass, a quick out route pass or something like that. But not a whole lot would come from it, right? So it was just a bad play call from Virginia Tech coach. It's a bad deal. Okay, let's go to the next thing. Cam Ward's interception, the second one. So this was another play. If you just watch the play, he got fooled again. So it looked like Xavier Restrepo was going to release to the outside wide open, but the safety left his original assignment. He jumped on the route towards the outside. I watched Virginia Tech play the first few games. Their corners and defensive backs did not react like this in those games. So they were on God mode in this game. I'm telling you, they were on Heisman mode like crazy. So after the interception, the one thing that I'm screaming at the TV is tackle this fool, because he went from like the 15-yard line to the 20 and then up to the 25 and then up to the 50. And he just keeps on going. I'm like, is this fool going to get a pick six off of this? And I'm looking at these offensive linemen who are just dog tired trying to catch him, and they falling down all over the place. And I said, this fool's going to score a touchdown. And eventually he got all the way to like the 15-yard line or something like that. That was crazy frustrating. So I know a whole lot of folks who are just like me, been a Hurricanes fan for a long time. We are really familiar with the Hurricanes looking like world beaters and then just giving up and quitting. And that play looked like, this might be it. This might be when they just decide to give it up. This might be where the season just completely turns on its head and we lose 5 of the next 6 games. We've all seen this before from the Hurricanes. And it looked like maybe they were starting to wave that white flag. I'm like, please don't do this. We got way too much talent on this team to be doing it. Please don't quit on us, right? So it's kind of what it looked like. Excuse me. Kind of what it looked like. And then the Virginia Tech coach. So so the next play that I'm talking about is the fake field goal, which some people are saying the play of the game was the fake field goal. At that point, they were up by 10 points, 2-possession lead, right? Kicking a field goal in that instance would put you up 13 points. That means if the Hurricanes score 2 touchdowns, you still lose. But if you get a touchdown on this possession and you go up 17 points, 3 possessions, at the end of the third quarter, I think it was the end of the third quarter at that point, it looks like that game would probably be over. So the fake field goal call, I wasn't mad at it. If that was the reverse and I was a Virginia Tech fan, I would 100% understand where he was coming from on that. He wanted to go up 3 possessions. He wanted to put his neck on the Hurricanes and just end the game right then and there because the momentum was 100% in their hands, 100%. So I am curious about this. I always ask y'all a question through the video because I want to know what your thoughts are in the comment section. So if you were a coach and you were in that particular situation, would you have gone for it or would you have kicked the field goal to go up 13 points? If you would have gone for it, Would you have put your regular offense out there, or would you have done the surprise fake field goal like they did? I'm curious to know what y'all's thoughts on that. If I was the coach, I would have just gone for it outright. I wouldn't have done a fake field goal, but I definitely wouldn't have kicked a field goal in that sense. I would have definitely gone for it, 100%. Um, so I guess in order, I would say go for it with your offense is my top is A. B would be fake field goal. C would be kick the field goal. Kicking the field goal is my last option, 100%. 100%. So curious to know what y'all think on that. Let me know what your thoughts are on the fake field goal. But at the end of the day, man, it did switch the momentum of the game. It gave the Hurricanes a whole lot of juice, obviously. And then we gotta give credit on this. Malik Bryant has been kind of quiet this season. People not really throwing his name in the hat too much. But the reason why I want to make sure we show him some love on this is because most of the time when you see people line up for a field goal, out of the 22 players on the field, you probably see 18 of them just hanging out, just waiting like it's a formality. They're just out there waiting for the field goal to see if it goes in or not. On this play, Malik Bryant gave everything he had. He jumped off the line of scrimmage. I mean, jumped off the line of scrimmage. It looked like he was maybe trying to block the field goal from the middle. And then once he realized it was a fake, the guy with the ball was like right in his chest. So we got to give Malik Bryant a round of applause on that because he just about saved the game for us. If they would have picked that first down up, I'm telling y'all right now, Hurricanes would have lost that game. Definitely would have lost that game. So kudos to my man Malik Bryant on that play. Thanks for putting forth the effort that you're supposed to be putting forth and saving our Hurricanes on that game. So then let's talk about the next play I want to talk about. It was Cam Ward. So, man, Cam Ward drops back, and I'm sure everybody else was like seeing this play in slow motion just like I was. But Cam Ward drops back, and as he's throwing it, he gets hit in the chest and his arm, and the ball goes straight in the air. And let's say 70% of the time when that happens, man, since the defense is facing the quarterback and the offensive players are facing that direction, when the ball goes straight up in the air, all the defenders see it and run to it, and usually ends up being an interception. In this case, Isaiah Horton, who I think is going to end up being in the record books with the Hurricanes before it's all over. I did not even realize he was just a sophomore, which is crazy to me because he is talented. But he comes out of nowhere, he catches that ball, and I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. I was waiting on somebody from Virginia Tech to come down with that ball. So that was another one of those thank you God plays, right? Where it was like, that was crazy. That was crazy when that happened. So that was one of the plays I want to talk about. The next one, at the end of the third quarter, when Virginia Tech ran the ball like, I don't know, like 70, 60 yards, something crazy, and scored that touchdown. And they ended up calling the touchdown back for a holding call. This is another question I got for y'all. If you watch the whole game, or if you just watched that play a few times like I did you see an actual hold on that play? I'm a Hurricanes fan. I got to be honest at all times. I did not see a hold at all. I don't even know. Usually, whenever you see a holding call and you say, man, I wouldn't have called that holding, you can kind of turn your head a little bit and say, I could see where they thought that was a hold, though. I could see why they would call it a hold. I wouldn't have said holding, but I can see why they would call it that. On that particular play, I looked at it over and over, and I'm like, I don't even know which part of the play they are thinking was a hold. I don't know where it was. So, were y'all just as surprised as I was? Did you think maybe that was a phantom hold call? Let me know in the comment section what your thoughts were on that, because I don't know what they were calling. I don't know what they saw in that play, but I'm sure thankful they brought it back. Let's just say that. And then, right, I think it was maybe the next play or a couple plays after that, to me, if you ask me, it was a makeup call. Virginia Tech gets the ball, and they just throw a desperation heave on the right. It's like on the right sideline. Do a desperation heave, maybe like a 30-yard pass, and they called a pass interference. I looked at that play several times, and I'm like, I guess I could see in that play, I guess I could see why they would call that a pass interference, but it was not. It wasn't enough there to call that a pass interference. I thought that was a crazy call. Maybe even a makeup call. I don't know, but I thought that was I thought that was crazy for them to call that a pass interference. All right, so now let's go ahead and talk a little bit about. There was 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and Virginia Tech is driving down the field, and I think it was third down, third and long, and we have. I mean, it happened again, right? I told you about at the beginning of the game. We have Elijah Austin running at the quarterback, full steam ahead, running at the quarterback. Quarterback just, I don't know if you want to call it outruns him or just kind of does a little side step, or I don't know how he just got away from him. And once again, touchdown. I mean, that was two plays where he actually had the quarterback. This one player had the quarterback, Elijah Austin, and both of those plays ended up resulting in a touchdown because the play didn't end in time. If you cannot hold these wide receivers, they're too fast, too agile, too athletic to be able to stay with them for 5 to 7 seconds. It's not realistic. The defensive linemen, they have to be able to get home. And whenever you get an opportunity to bring the quarterback down, you have to do it. So this was the second time where he almost got home, but he didn't. And it ended up resulting in a touchdown. And there were some things on the back end, too. Some defensive backs who seemed like they just stopped playing. And maybe they thought because the play was over, maybe they thought that it was going to result in a sack. But when the ball's in the air, you could see at least two Hurricanes just standing there watching the ball. You know, instead of actually reacting to what's happening, instead of reacting to the ball in the air, they just like standing there watching it go by them. That was pretty frustrating too. But let's move on to the next play, which was the Xavier Restrepo butt catch. That was crazy. Um, as if you watch this channel at all, you know that Xavier Restrepo is one of my favorite Hurricanes of all time. He's like top 10 favorite Hurricane ever, which is crazy to some people, but I just appreciate his work ethic. I love the fact that he's undersized. He's not real fast. He's not real strong. He's pretty quick, but he is just always open. And it's obvious because it's his work ethic, it is his craft, it's his footwork and all that stuff. I always appreciate I always appreciate overachievers. So that's why I appreciate him so much. When I watched that play live, he came in motion, so he went from the left side of the line and came in motion to the right side. And anybody knows, like, if it's third and short, fourth and short, if we're throwing the ball, we are looking for a way to isolate Xavier Restrepo. Everybody knows that. Everybody at home watching the game knows it. Everybody on the defensive side knows it. Everybody on the defensive sidelines know. Everybody knows it. We're trying to get Restrepo isolated on somebody, one on one, or do a quick rub route or something. But we're looking at Restrepo. So when I saw him come in motion, I'm like, what are they trying to do with him? I know that he's gonna get the ball somehow. So he's the guy that I'm watching the entire play. And when I saw him cut out, he did like a quick little drift to the right side, and then made a quick cut to the left. And I saw him fall because he was the one player I was watching. I saw him fall. I said, "Oh man!" Like I knew it was a busted play. And Cam Ward threw it anyway. And I'm thinking somebody's gonna intercept it because he fell down, and the ball kind of floated a little bit. But thankfully, the Virginia Tech guys got caught behind that little rub route, that little screen that we set for him. And he reaches up and catches it, laying on his butt and his back. That was so crazy. Um, I was screaming when that happened. I was watching the game live, and I couldn't even move past that play. I just had to keep rewinding it over and over and over, even though I didn't know what was going to happen next. I had to keep rewinding it because it was such a crazy play. The next thing I want to talk about is what I call the double duck shuffle. So this is when Cam Ward drops back, does a little, he got a lot of pressure in his face, so he ducks, and then he looks up, sees somebody's open, and what does he see? Another defensive lineman coming in his face, so he ducks him too. So I just call that the double duck shuffle because duck, and then he just did a quick little shuffle pass to Riley Williams, who, if you look at that play, because I've watched that play over and over and over and over and over. If you look at that play, just before Riley Williams caught that ball, believe it or not, he was sitting on his butt because he fell down. So he was trying to make a block, fell down, and turned around and looked at Cam Ward, and then he stood up, and right around that time, Cam Ward shuffled past the ball to him. And Riley Williams, he's a big old boy. Like, some players are listed at 6'6", 240, but they play like they're 6'1", 180. Riley Williams he caught that ball and was running like he was 280. Like he was he was moving down that field like a big tractor. My wife even said, he's a big old boy. She knows nothing about football. She looked up and saw him running, and she was like, that's a big old boy. And it made me think, like, who would want to tackle somebody like that? But anyway, he gave somebody a nice little ride down the field before he shedded them off, and he gets all the way down to the 1 yard line or so. But that play was crazy. As soon as it happened, I thought it was pretty crazy that what happened after. So as soon as that play happened, I was like, if Cam Ward wins the Heisman, that play is going to be on the highlight reel over and over and over. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen from now to the end of the season, but that play is going to be on his Heisman highlights for sure. And as soon as I said that, the commentator was like, if he has a trip to New York, that play is going to be up. So I was like, that's pretty crazy. I thought that was cool. So let's talk about the next play that's on here. The TD on the 1 yard line. So if you watch NFL, if you watched last year's Super Bowl, this is actually the play. As soon as I saw it, I was like, that's the play that the Kansas City Chiefs ran against the Niners to win the Super Bowl. It's the same play. And then another reason why I want to bring this play up is because if you've watched this channel before, last year, one of the things I complained about two things with our offense. The first thing was I always wanted to get the tight ends more involved, and it looks like we are actually doing that. So bravo to Dimples. Let's give Dimples a round of applause on that because he's actually doing it. So he's getting the tight ends involved. The other thing that I wanted to focus more on is pre-snap motion. So the reason why I always harp on pre-snap motion is because it gives you free openings. It gives you wide open receivers. It's like bonus if you think of it that way. So if you got receivers like Restrepo who are man beaters, they can get open. That's great. But sometimes you'll have somebody like Isaiah Horton who every now and again struggles to get open. If you move him pre-snap, sometimes you'll get to where the defenders will get confused and they go, you take the inside man, I take the outside man. And then they get a little confused and both of them think they're supposed to take the inside man, and it leaves this outside guy wide open because they miscommunicated on the pre-snap motion. So it gives you a bonus wide open receiver sometimes. It's like a bailout. So that's why I've been praying and screaming about doing more pre-snap motion because it gives you an opportunity to have a free runner right off the snap. As soon as you snap the ball, he's like, oh, he's wide open because they miscommunicated. It makes you have to communicate super quick on defense. And that's what happened on this play. When they saw Isaiah Horton go from the right side of the field and then he ran towards the line, they thought he was going all the way through. And you can see the defenders calling to each other like, you take him. And then the other defender's like, no, you take him. And before you know it, Isaiah Horton turns around and runs back that direction, and nobody took him. He was wide open. Pre-snap motion. We need even more of it. Please, we need more of it. Especially if we end up getting to the playoffs or we get to playing against top-tier ACC teams like Clemson, we're going to need some pre-snap motions because we're not going to be able to rely on Cam Ward to find a wide-open receiver every time. Every now and again, we've got to be able to scheme an open look, and that's what that pre-snap motion stuff does. Okay, let's talk about the final drive now. Another reason why I almost feel bad for the Virginia Tech coach, but another reason why people are killing him is because he was doing some weird stuff with the clock management. It was weird. I was watching it live, and I'm like, I don't know what his game plan is. Like, what is he trying to do with this clock management? He called a play, and then he let it just they got tackled inbounds, and then the clock went from like almost a minute down to like 36 seconds or something. He just didn't call timeout. I'm like, that's weird, but okay, thank you. So he lets it wind all the way down. I don't know what his game plan was. I probably should have watched his post game like conference because I'm sure somebody asked him like, bro, what were you thinking? What were you trying to do? I don't know. He's a smarter guy than I am, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on it. But I just didn't. I personally didn't understand what his game plan was. Um, 15 seconds left. This is the next play I want to talk about. I kept screaming, let's just do a cover two man. That's when you have two players, the two safeties playing deep zone. Everybody else is playing man across the board. So that's what I'm screaming. Let's just rush four. Let's have their five linebackers covered, their five wide receivers covered, and then just put two over the top. That's all I'm saying. Let's just do that. It's simple defense. That way there's no one-on-ones anywhere. Let's not blitz. Don't do anything cute. Just play it simple. If the safeties see a guy run deep into the end zone, you run with that guy, and it's a double team. The cornerback, the safety, double team the guy, knock it out of bounds. But the play that happened with 15 seconds left, I was screaming at my TV, what are y'all doing? Why was I doing that? Because one Hurricane got left one-on-one with a Virginia Tech receiver in the back of the end zone. I despise that. So when I saw the ball go up and it was a one-on-one, I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And thankfully, he overthrew it a little bit. It went out the back of the end zone. And that defensive back had really good cover skills on that. He was able to knock the ball and the receiver out the back of the end zone. But that could have been a nightmare. Could have been a nightmare. So I'm hoping if this happens again, if there's another Hail Mary situation, please have two safeties standing way far back. Don't let anybody get behind you. If someone does run to the end zone, your job is to go with that corner and that receiver and help knock the ball out the back of the end zone or knock it down to the ground. That was, oh my gosh, that was frustrating to see. But anyway, it worked out, so I shouldn't complain too much. Now let's talk about what I think, or what most of us think, is the play of the game. It was the Hail Mary, right? So I'm going to go through my thought process on this. First, they threw the ball in the end zone. And I saw, usually if you watch a Hail Mary, you see the ball get spiked to the ground or you see it go out the back of the end zone or something. I saw a group of people jump and I did not see the ball. So I was like, uh-oh, it didn't hit the ground. That means what? Somebody caught it. So I'm watching it, and I'm like, uh-oh, somebody caught it. And I was thinking, Virginia Tech caught it because I didn't see the ball bouncing anywhere. And then I see the Hurricane, number 43, I believe it was. Let's see who that was. Who was number 43? Tyler Rowe. So Tyler Rowe comes out, red shirt sophomore from Loganville, Georgia. So he comes out, holding the ball, hyped, screaming. He actually transferred from Georgia Tech, it says. So, anyway, he comes out with the ball, and I'm screaming, yeah, we got it. We got it. Touchback. We got the ball. It's ours. Game over. And, the crowd's going crazy. The lights are doing, they're flickering and going crazy like they usually do. Everybody's excited. I'm excited. My wife is even excited. My mom is there. She's excited. My newborn was not excited. So, well, she was excited, but she was crying, screaming, excitement. Anyway, so I'm glad we got the ball. And then out of nowhere, the commentator goes, the Hurricanes have the ball. And then 2 seconds later, he's like, Virginia Tech touchdown. So I'm like, hold on, what is going on? So that's how my emotion went from probably just like y'all, celebrating, screaming, happy because we got an interception to Virginia Tech touchdown. And then I see the Virginia Tech wide receiver number 9 who thought he had a touchdown. He's celebrating and going crazy and doing that little hand gesture that the Hurricanes been doing. So I'm like, touchdown? And I'm like, how can you call that a touchdown where and this is my actual thoughts when this is happening. How can you call this a touchdown when the Hurricanes get up and runs away with the ball And there's several players in the end zone, but then there's several players laying outside of the end zone, out of bounds, and they're all grabbing at the ball. How can you say in all of that that there's a touchdown in there? I'm like, how can you call that a touchdown in the first place? I thought that was crazy. So then I'm sitting there watching, and they're showing the replay over and over and over and over. And then after looking at the replay for probably 3 minutes, the referee goes out to the field and he says, the ruling on the field is a touchdown. And as soon as he said that, I started screaming, that was not a touchdown. I'm hot. I was like, there's no way he had possession. That wasn't a touchdown because I had seen the replay so many times. Now, mind you, after that, he said the play is under review. I didn't hear that because I was screaming at the TV. I thought he was saying after review, it was a touchdown. But he was like, we're going to review it now. So then you have to ask yourself, what were they doing during those 3 to 5 minutes right after the play? And they were showing the replay over and over and over. And then they actually said touchdown on the field, and Virginia Tech started celebrating. What were the referees doing from that point all the way up until when the referee walked out there and said the call on the play is a touchdown? Like, what were they doing during that time? Why were they not reviewing it then? It was just so much dead time. I don't get what was going on there. So that's what made me think that they had been reviewing it and they came out and they said that it's a touchdown. But apparently not. So then they go out there, they're doing the review for, I don't know how long it was, 7 to 10 minutes maybe, just looking at this play over and over and over. And then I started thinking, if they called this, so if they said this was an incomplete pass, I was like, they would probably stand with the incomplete pass because there wasn't enough video evidence to overturn it. Because as they say, it's got to be like clear cut evidence to overturn something. So I'm like, the fact that they called this a touchdown is terrible. That means it's probably going to stand. But my thoughts on the play. I know a lot of people think that the Hurricanes or the referees cheated for the Hurricanes or whatever it may be. I really believe they got the play right. What I really believe the referees did is I believe they said I think they said they called it a touchdown initially so they could review it. That's what I think really happened. I don't think they called it a touchdown because they really believed it was a touchdown. I think they were like, okay, let's just call it a touchdown so we can go review it, because if they called it incomplete, I don't think you can review it. So I think they were like, let's call it a touchdown. Then we'll go and look at the review, see what really happened. And then once we see what happened in the review, we'll tell you what happened. I don't think initially they really thought it was a touchdown. I think they just were like, I have no idea. We'll call it a touchdown. Then we'll go review it. And then we'll make a judgment based on what we see. The reason why I believe that is because there was nothing in that video that was clear-cut evidence to overturn it. I think when the referee went to look at it, or when the review panel went to look at it, I think all of them went to this review thinking, I don't know if this was a touchdown or an interception or an incompletion. I have no idea. I'm just going to go and look at it and tell you what I think happened. That's my thoughts on it. And then the referee comes out there and he's like, after reviewing the play, and then he pauses for dramatic effect, and he's like, it's a touchdown. And man, I went crazy. And apparently my mom had already looked on her phone and saw what the review was, because I was like, maybe like 10 minutes behind, because I just kept rewinding play. So I was like 10 minutes behind. So everybody, like all of y'all knew what had already happened, but I was like 10 minutes behind. My mom looked at her phone. She knew that we won, but she was waiting to see my reaction on it. But I went crazy. So let's talk about the overall thought on this game was, I think Virginia Tech played out of their minds a little bit. I don't think they're a bad team because they returned way too many starters to be a bad team. But I don't think they were anywhere near as good as they played. And I also know that the Hurricanes played a bad game. So that's that. Also, Cam Ward, like if I were to talk to him, if I mean, who am I to give this dude some advice, right? But if I were to give him any advice, I would say, bro, just take what the defense is giving you. There's something open every play. And the reason why I say this is because he's got weapons all over the field, but then the one weapon that he seems like he's not using enough. Well, I'm not gonna say he's not using enough, but the one weapon that he can use is his legs. Like he's not super fast like Lamar Jackson or anything like that, but he's serviceable at running the football. So if you go back and there's no receivers open, there always seems to be at least 6 yards where he can just run because his offensive line is pretty impressive. So it seems like there's always a way for him to at least run and get 6 yards and then get down at least 6 yards. So to me, it feels like this offense can score every single time as long as they don't get overconfident and try to do too much. It seems like they can probably score every single time. It's that good. I am still a little bit concerned about Damian Martinez's run style. Um, it just seems like Mark Fletcher has been a lot more productive so far just because his running style is see the hole, hit the hole. But Damian Martinez is more of like the Le'Veon Bell type where he gets the ball and he dances behind the line of scrimmage, waits for something to open up, and then he jumps in the hole. So, I don't know. I'm a little concerned about it. It seems like it's not working just yet. Um, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But those are my thoughts on the game. I'm so glad they were able to pull off a win. I know at the beginning, a lot of y'all are probably thinking like I was thinking, where it's like, this close win is not going to look good with the voters. It's not going to look good. Like, we're only going to win by 7 points. We're only going to win by 3 points. We need to get a lead, win by a lot, so we can jump in these polls. But, man, by the end of the game, I was like, just win the game, man. It's getting ugly. Just win. So, thankfully, we came away with the W. Cam Ward, just take what the defense is giving you. Don't try to do too much. Xavier Restrepo, keep getting open. Um, oh man, my man George, just don't be a fool. Don't keep getting these. Don't get these like Jacoby George. Just cool your head, brother. Like we had an issue with this last year, and it looked like you're getting things figured out, but then you got another personal foul call, or you got another 15-yarder this week. So calm yourself, my man. Calm yourself. But anyway, let me know what y'all's thoughts are on this football game. Now that the game is over for a couple of days, we're able to just sit and think about it for a while and give sober thoughts, not these crazy high emotional thoughts right after the game. Let me know what your thoughts are on it. Are you concerned about our Hurricanes? Are you pretty excited still? Let me know your thoughts on it. As always, you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I truly appreciate that. So take care. God bless. Peace.